Hello, this is Carolyn Pitts, author of 8 Intentions for Self-Healing, a practical guide to reclaiming your personal power. I invite you to sit back and listen to this reading of Chapter 4 from the book, which is titled Intentional Resilience. Resilience is the first of the 8 intentions that are covered in the book. I hope that you find this information informative, entertaining, and helpful. Let us begin. I intend to cultivate resilience to stress. According to the American Psychological Association, APA, quote, resilience is the process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences, especially through mental, emotional, and behavioral flexibility and the adjustment to external and internal demands, end quote. To me, the word resilience brings to mind a bop bag, an inflatable toy often decorated with the image of a clown, that springs back to an upright position after being punched. New me is like a bop bag. Life still knocks me sideways sometimes, but because I have cultivated resilience to stress, I can quickly recover. Intentional resilience involves mastering the skills that enable us to bounce back from the inevitable stresses of life. To learn how to cultivate resilience, let's begin by exploring how to recognize and manage the symptoms of stress. Jaylyn's story. Jaylyn lives in a scenic town nestled in the valley of a mountain range. The stream that meanders alongside the main street is peaceful, except in springtime. That's when melting snow from the mountains above transforms the stream into a churning cauldron of muddy water, broken branches, and other debris. Jaylyn still shudders when he recalls the year that a torrential rainstorm, combined with the spring thaw, forced the stream to spill over its banks. He was leaving for work one morning when he spotted a wall of water thundering down the street. Somehow, he made it back inside and up the stairs before the water surged through his front door. Now every spring, Jaylyn feels a sense of dread whenever rain is in the forecast. His heart beats faster and his stomach clenches as he considers what might have happened if he had not made it back to his house in time. The stress response. Jaylyn reacted quickly to the flash flood thanks to his stress response. The stress response is autonomic, meaning that we cannot consciously control it. Chemicals including adrenaline, cortisol, insulin, and cholesterol flood the bloodstream. Our heart rate accelerates while breathing becomes fast and shallow. As our body prepares for action, either to fight back or run away, all of our available energy is redirected to muscles in the arms and legs. Basic functions such as cellular growth and repair, digestion, wound healing, and combating viruses cease to operate. Our field of vision narrows as we direct all our focus on the perceived threat. In his rush to escape, Jaylyn did not need to notice that his grass needed mowing. The part of our brain that helps us evaluate options and solve problems goes offline. Instead, the brain surrenders control to our reflex-oriented instinct, which reacts faster than the rational mind. Instinct enables us to hit the brakes when the driver in front of us swerves unexpectedly, yank our hand back from a hot stove, or dash to higher ground in the path of oncoming floodwaters. Our body responds before our brain realizes what is happening. The table below describes how our physiological functioning changes when the stress response is triggered. On one side of this table is homeostasis, or rest, digest, and heal, which is a mode of our autonomic nervous system. Primary chemicals in the blood include dopamine, oxytocin, and growth hormone. Blood chemistry is regulated as needed for sleep, digestion, and healing. Heart rate, blood pressure, and respiration are at the body's typical resting rate. The body feels calm, safe, and open to emotions such as love and compassion. The eyes are relaxed and scanning the environment. Energy is focused on digestion, absorption of nutrients, elimination of waste, cellular growth and repair, and immune system function. The brain uses experience, insight, and empathy in the prefrontal cortex, or forebrain, for thinking and decision-making. The brain is open to receive new information through learning. Now I'll read from the other side of the table. This column is fight or flight. The blood is flooded with adrenaline, cortisol, cytokines, and pain-inhibiting chemicals. Glucose, insulin, and cholesterol are released to expedite energy supply to the muscles. Blood pressure and heart rate increase. Breathing becomes shallow and fast. The body is on high alert. The primary emotion is fear. Pupils dilate. Our vision tunnels as our eyes lock on the perceived threat. The ability to hear certain frequencies may be impaired. Energy is redirected to the extremities, arms and legs, in preparation to fight or flee the threat. The immune and digestive systems are suppressed because the body does not want to expend energy combating infections or viruses or digesting food until the threat is resolved. The brain relies on instinct and emotions in the limbic system, or hindbrain, because reflexes respond faster than executive functions. How much time do you spend in rest, digest, and heal mode? Would you like to spend more time there? What triggers the stress response for you? A lengthy to-do list and running late to an appointment are stressful for me. Take a moment to list your common stressors in your journal. We will come back to them later. Nature designed the stress response for short-term use. As soon as we escape the threat, our body is supposed to revert to homeostasis, or rest, digest, and heal mode. The physical activity of running away or fighting back clears the stress response chemicals from our bloodstream, allowing cellular growth, digestion, rational thinking, and immune system functioning to be fully restored. You may have seen nature shows where as soon as an antelope outruns the hungry lion, it resumes grazing peacefully as if nothing happened. One of my clients has a small dog, Daisy, that barks at every little noise. Often, it is hard to tell what sets her off. Perhaps neighbors working in their yard or the wind rustling in the leaves outside the kitchen door. But because my client is elderly and lives alone, an alert dog like Daisy is a good safety measure, as long as she settles down once her owner gives the all-clear signal. We want to train our stress response to behave like Daisy. Switch into fight or flight mode when it senses danger, but stop barking and return to homeostasis once the situation is resolved. The stress response is both a blessing and a curse. We tend to use the term stress to refer to distress, a form of stress that arises when we feel overwhelmed. But the stress response can also help us focus on a deadline, prepare for a presentation, or improve athletic performance. This beneficial form of stress known as eustress, is often associated with personal growth. We would not want to suppress our stress response even if we could. After all, the quick reaction triggered by Jalen's stress response saved his life. While eustress motivates us to excellence in situations we find challenging yet rewarding. Chronic stress. One stressor can lead to another. For example, imagine that you oversleep one morning. When you finally wake up, your first surge of adrenaline launches you out of bed in a mad dash to get ready. In full-on fight or flight mode, you deviate from your typical morning routine, triggering additional releases of adrenaline every time you have to backtrack because you forgot something. As you rush to the car, you realize that the lunch you packed the night before is still on the kitchen counter, so you experience another influx as you run back inside to retrieve it. And when you finally arrive at work, you realize that your shoes don't match. Say hello to another dose of stress chemicals every time you suspect someone is looking at your feet. Unfortunately, when it comes to most modern-day stressors, neither fighting nor fleeing are viable options. We can't physically wrestle an overflowing inbox or run away from mismatched shoes. As a result, residual stress chemicals are still circulating in our bloodstream when the next stressor hits. Think of a leaf kept aloft by an autumn wind. Every time it drifts down toward the ground, another gust tosses it high in the air again. Like that leaf, chronic stress occurs when our body never fully transitions back to homeostasis before the stress response reactivates. Over time, chronic stress, also known as anxiety, takes a toll on our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. With the nervous system constantly on alert, it is hard to concentrate and make informed decisions. Restful sleep is elusive. Joints and muscles ache from being tensed for action. Because the immune system is receiving less resources, we are more susceptible to catching viruses, and wounds take longer to heal. Digestion doesn't work as smoothly, leading to gastrointestinal distress and cravings. The symptoms of chronic stress are listed in the Chronic Anxiety Self-Assessment in the back of the book and the online companion. Take the assessment now and retake it again after each chapter. Use the self-assessment tracker to compare your scores as you progress through the book. False alarm. Although the human body is constantly evolving, the stress response is still adjusting to modern society. Violence overseas, a vicious comment on social media, or slow-moving traffic can activate the stress response even though there is no threat to our physical safety. Even our thoughts, recalling memories from the past, like an argument with your partner, or worries about the future, like paying your credit card bill on time, can trigger the stress response. Our survival instinct reacts the same way to past memories, future worries, or an actual emergency unfolding in the present. That is why Jalen's body experiences the symptoms or fight or flight when he hears that rain is in the forecast. His body is preparing for action, even though he is in no immediate danger. Refer back to your list of common stressors. How many are false alarms? In other words, not life-threatening. Although an overwhelming to-do list and showing up late to an appointment feel stressful, they aren't a matter of life and death. Sarah's story. Sarah was 9 years old when the night terrors started. She was home from school due to contracting the COVID-19 virus from a classmate. It was early in the pandemic. There was still a lot of uncertainty regarding the severity of the virus. Both Sarah and her parents were understandably worried, although her symptoms were mild. As darkness descended and bedtime approached, Sarah's worry escalated into despair. She irrationally feared that if she went to sleep, she might not wake up. Although her parents tried to reassure her, Sarah was inconsolable, leading to a mostly sleepless night for everyone in the family. In the morning, Sarah's mom called the pediatrician, who recommended that Sarah think positive thoughts. That seemed to help during daylight hours, but her fear returned again as bedtime approached. As her parents soon discovered, a terrified child cannot will herself into optimism, any more than stressed out old me could will myself into calmness. After a second sleepless night, Sarah's mom contacted me. Sarah's night terrors were the result of a stress response in overdrive. In Healing Touch, we have techniques to remove unwanted energy from our client's biofield, much the way that a lint brush removes cat fur from my dressy black pants. My goal as an energy healer was twofold. First, restore Sarah's system to homeostasis, and second, to teach her how to manage her stress response going forward. After setting up my table in their living room, I invited Sarah to lie down, but she chose to sit upright instead, an indication that she was too agitated to relax. In my initial assessment, I detected buzzy energy around her head. To clear Sarah's mind of racing thoughts, I positioned my hands on either side of her head with the intention of sending white light energy between my palms, just as you learned in the focuser technique. As Sarah relaxed, she lay down on the table and her chattiness quieted. Next, I opened the energy centers in the sole of each foot before raking stressful energy down the length of her body and out through her feet. Finally, I taught Sarah to use the intentional breathing technique to soothe herself when anxiety returned. After our first healing session, Sarah slept through the night. After a few more sessions, Sarah told me, "Thank you, but I can manage my own now." She was right. That was over 3 years ago, and the night terrors have not returned. Intentional breathing. Intentional breathing is easy to master and can be practiced anywhere, anytime, whether driving a vehicle, sitting in a meeting at work, or lying sleepless in bed staring at the ceiling. As Sarah demonstrated, it is so easy that a child can do it. As we learned earlier, one symptom of the stress response is rapid and shallow breathing as the body prepares to fight back or run away. Long, slow, intentional breathing is perhaps the most powerful method to counteract the stress response, as it reassures the brain that it can stop ringing the alarm bells. Imagine your brain thinking, if our breathing is relaxed, then everything must be okay now. Like my client's dog Daisy, our system reverts to rest, digest, and heal mode. 3 aspects of intentional breathing include moving the diaphragm, holding the breath, and an exhale that is longer than the inhale. The diaphragm is a thin, dome-shaped muscle in the torso. Attached to the ribs in the front and the vertebra in the back, it stretches across the abdominal cavity, separating the heart and lungs from the intestines. When we inhale, the diaphragm should bow downward, massaging the digestive organs. When we exhale, the diaphragm rounds upward, pressing against the lungs to help expel carbon dioxide. This is called diaphragmatic or belly breathing because when we inhale fully, the downward movement of the diaphragm causes the belly to distend slightly outward. If you pay attention to how other people breathe, you will see that many people breathe so shallowly that their bellies do not expand when they inhale. But with a little practice, you will not be one of those people. Follow the steps below or practice along with me using the video in the online companion. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I will mention there is an online companion that goes along with the book. All of the techniques that I teach in the book are explained step by step in writing, but I also have an online companion with a video version of each technique. So you can just follow along with me in the video. And if you've got time now, it would be a great opportunity to take just 2 minutes and practice some intentional breathing. Thank you for joining me. Have a beautiful day. And remember to intend